am here. I made it. After about 6 months of just absolute craziness, I am officially on my new property. You may have noticed a change in the name of the channel. It's no longer Paul Ingram Daily, even though I'm still doing my daily, but it is now Living Off Grid with Paul, because that is what I'm doing. And I'm really excited to share this adventure with you and make these videos and document this entire adventure and process of me taking all of this raw land here. I mean, it's literally just what you see here is what it is. A bunch of trees and more trees and more trees, but it's absolutely beautiful. The sky at night is incredible. And it's peaceful. Perfect for an introvert like me. So I'll go ahead and tell you about the property, give you a little mini tour. That way you can take a look around. And I'll also tell you why I chose this particular spot. But I'll do that later. First, what exactly is living off grid? Living off grid is when you are not connected to city utilities like the electric grid, the sewer system, natural gas pipes running through the ground into your house. And basically you are relying on yourself to create and build these systems for yourself. You're being more self-reliant. You have to produce your own power. If you want to, you got to figure out how to produce your own water systems, your own fueling systems. And this is a simple, but not easy, but also rewarding way to live. Completely independent from, all the big brother systems. And it's completely reliant on yourself, your own ingenuity, your own creativity. And when the power goes out, there's no one else to blame except for yourself, which that's what I prefer. So my property is off of this dirt road, literally in the middle of no man's land, in the middle of nowhere. Actually, it's in the middle of this though, right? I mean, it's not nowhere. Look at this. I mean, just incredible forest. My whole property is just covered in just incredible forest, which is where I belong. I belong in the woods. So if you're new to the channel or you don't know my story, I was born and raised in the big suburban area, metropolitan area of the Chicagoland. And when I was little growing up, my grandfather on my mom's side, he had a farm in central Wisconsin. And it was about 100 acres, plus or minus. And it was a tree farm. And he grew pine trees that were it was either for paper pulp or they're going to be light poles or something like that. I think they were originally going to be Christmas trees, but my grandfather didn't want to cut them down at that time, so he kept them going. So when I was growing up, my family would always go up to the farm. All the holidays, summer vacations, winter vacations. I mean, we were just up there every single chance that we could get. And as a kid, for me, this was just ultimate freedom. I could run around, I could be noisy, I could be loud, and I could just spend all day in the woods, in the pond, exploring, creating my own adventures. And it was a lot of fun because my cousins and everybody would be there. We'd take the bikes and ride down to the lake. And it's just always an awesome adventure. And it just meant freedom when I was a little kid. And when I was a teenager, we just pretty much stopped going to the farm because my grandfather was getting older. He had to let it go. He ended up being diagnosed with colon cancer. That's what he ended up passing from many years ago. When I was a teen and started missing that place, I started dreaming like, man, one day I want my own version of that. You know, maybe not do like a commercial farm or something like that, but a place where I can be free. I can live off the grid. I can grow my own food. You know, I can do what I want. If I want, I can frolic around all the flora and fauna naked amongst the rest of the animals if I want to. I can do anything I want as long as I stay a good, a good citizen. So 5 years ago, I left Chicagoland altogether, forever. And I bought a house out in the country in southern Illinois, which was bordering the Shawnee National Forest. And those of you who follow me on my martial arts channel, or if you go back, watch the earlier videos on this channel, you're gonna see that property when I was living there. And I was on 22 acres. It was gorgeous. I built a garden, a bunch of fruit trees. I trained all the time, but that was still hooked up to the grid. And it just wasn't quite exactly, the dream yet. It was a step closer, and it was a necessary step for at that point in my life. But this was the ultimate goal, is to get out of the Midwest completely forever. Get to, in my opinion, a better grow zone where I can grow more food, different varieties, grow all year, and expand that acreage and just be somewhere incredible. So what I love about this place is it kind of reminds me of the farm, my grandfather's farm. We have a lot of the pine trees, and we've got a lot of the deciduous on the other side, and the layout of it, just kind of reminds me of that, but just in a little bit warmer climate than central Wisconsin. So mission 1 is to just get base camp set up and get it where it is functional. Is getting the shelter put up and getting the compost toilet built. And I'll show you the process of exactly that. And if you follow me on this journey, if you subscribe to the channel, then you get to see the whole thing come together, and you get to see the successes as well as the failures, the trial and errors, and have some fun. Join me along on this awesome adventure living off grid. So it's a bit of a mess right now, but it's coming together. I'll show you inside into my humble abode. It's pretty messy because we're just getting set up here, but basically just all storage on this side. Goes into bedroom, sleeping quarters, and then works our way into the kitchen zone. Oh yeah. Oh. So it's pretty raw right now, as I just got on the land literally yesterday, and I'm just getting everything set up. Got the tent up, getting everything kind of organized slowly, little by little on the inside. I'll show you that later on. And then getting the compost toilet done. That way I have a, I don't have to just be squatting around everywhere, in the woods. And eventually this will become human manure, and that will become rich soil, rich compost that can feed fruit trees. I probably wouldn't put it in my raised beds, but I'll definitely feed my fruit trees with it. And basically all it is I built a box. I've got my garbage can. You go in there, and then once that's filled up, I'm gonna put the cap on, tuck it way back in the far corner of the property, and just let it sit there for about 18 months or so, and everything will break down. You can put food scraps in there and all that if you want to as well, but then you just let that break down over the course of about 18 months, maybe 12 months. I'll probably go about 18 months. That's typically what it takes for human manure to break down to where it is safe to use, especially on your fruit trees and stuff like that. But very easy. I'm going to get this done and get it set up, and then it's ready to go. And the whole thing with this is, none of this is easy. It's simple living, but it's not necessarily easy. But over time, I'm a systems person. And over time, I will imagine that it will become easier as I make the necessary adjustments and just keep perfecting my systems. So, but this is step number 1, basic shelter. House is coming up next. The cabin is coming up soon with gardens, fruit tree orchards, all that stuff. And then got to get the bathroom going as well. So. Pass load just died, and I don't have my charger with me, so that's out of commission. Guess I'll be finishing this up the old-fashioned way. Don't mind at all. I've always been really good at losing pencils. thought of this brilliant idea for the compost toilet this morning when I was at the store doing a supply run, and gonna put handles on it. These will make it so much easier to move this thing, especially when I'm by myself. Just knowing that the handles are on the box, even if I don't use them. Compost toilet is finished, at least for now. So once I have it set in place, I'll take the can, put it in the back, put the back panel back on, and it's ready to go. And go ahead and show you how it works. Check out those fancy handles right there. Oh yeah, oh yeah. All right, so how it works is bucket goes in the back, right there, lines right on up very nicely. You come on up here, and you pop a squat, and then you do what you got to do. And then when you're done, you take some wood shavings, some pine bedding, and you put it on top of all your business. Cover it up real good, so that way you have your nitrogen that comes from your body, carbon source goes on top. Close it up. From the rain, you don't even need this. I'm gonna put the canopy above this, so I'm not going to the bathroom when it's raining, getting soaked. But that's it. Super simple, just functional. Maybe over time, I'll adjust the design and clean it up. But I end up putting this little backrest on it, because when you lift this up, this toilet seat, it doesn't go all the way back down. So I don't want, if I make a mistake or a guest is using it, I don't want it to flip all the way down and then, mess it up or anything. So I just put this little back on there. It feels like, you're at home, because I am at home. All right, done, ready for service. So yesterday was an eventful day. My dad came out to visit me here on the property. He lives in the next state over, a couple hours away, couple hour drive. And he messed up.
All right.
Don't reverse. Don't hit the gas.
Okay.
So a few months ago, when Hurricane Helene raged through this area, about a mile down the road, there's this big pond, and it flooded out, and it ended up washing out a big section of the road there that went over the creek. And my dad decided that he wanted to go that way, to go and explore the area. And I guess the road closed sign must have blew over, fell down, and he kept going, even though there were cones. But he kept going. And almost drove his Subaru down into the creek there, where it got washed out. So when it came to selecting my property here, there was two main criteria that I was pretty picky about. One is the grow zone, which I'm in grow zone 8, technically 8B, which means that on average, winters don't get really any colder than 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that doesn't mean it cannot, because Mother Nature can do anything. She could throw anything at you. But typically, on average, you will not see it colder than that. And this January, this winter, has actually been quite below average. According to a lot of the locals, they said it's usually about 10 degrees warmer than it has been, especially at night, even the highs during the day. But the coldest night that it's been so far this month has been 24 degrees Fahrenheit. So still, above that average cold. Number 2 was zoning. And where I'm at in particular, there is no zoning regulations. So I can live in whatever type of structure that I want to. I could build any kind of structure and live in it. I can add other structures. The sky is the limit here on what I can do and with my property here. So those are really the two main criteria, was being in the right grow zone, wanted to be in at least grow zone 8, and then no zoning restrictions, or at least as least as possible. But out here, there are none, 0. I just got done cleaning up some of the road behind me right here, my drive, just getting some of the sticks and roots and stuff like that off of it, so that way it's not clinging up and scratching up my vehicle or anybody else's vehicle that comes and visits or anything like that. It's nice to have a nice clean drive. So some of the other important factors was resources. Are there plenty of resources on the land before I purchase it? Obviously there's a lot of trees here, so trees are really good for firewood, for keeping me warm, for cooking, even building materials, being able to build some of the structures, especially in the garden and stuff. I can just use what's already here. I don't have to go to the lumber store and keep buying lumber to build trellises and different things for, at least for the garden. And then, is there any water? There is some water here on the property. On the far northwest corner, there's a creek that runs through. There's a nice little area that's pretty close to the same spot where there is a spring. There's some water coming up. I can dig a pond there if I want to later in the future. And that will always have fresh water in it. First couple of days here on the property, it's just been wonderful. It's been absolutely fantastic. And getting base camp set up, almost there, pretty close. If you want to keep following along with this adventure and going through this experience with me, hit the subscribe button and tap that bell. That way you're notified when the next video comes up. I'm gonna try to get at least one video up per week. Got a lot of projects coming up. After base camp is done, all this area right here, I gotta clean all this up in this clearing here, but this is where the cabin's gonna be going, gardens, the fruit tree orchards, training areas. I'm a martial artist and I love fitness and workout and all that. And inviting some of my students and stuff to come train out here and everything. So that's coming up right here in this area. So lots to come on this channel. Well, thanks for joining me in episode 1, and hopefully I'll see you next time.